Hello and welcome to the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. Rachael is a speaker, inspirational author, and an overcomer. As Rachael is walking through her own journey of grief, she's challenging others to persevere and overcome their own circumstances. Find out more at rachaelflick.com. Here now is your host, Rachael Flick.
Hi friends, welcome back to this week's episode of the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. I'm so glad that you're here to join me on this journey of resilience and healing, and I'm so grateful that you're allowing me to be a part of this story with you. I love bringing you stories of overcomers who are teaching us about post-traumatic growth and resilience through their own healing path. Today, I'm bringing you the story from Bob Wheatley. Bob is recognized as a leading voice on Christian singleness. He is the best-selling author of Single-Minded and Our Heart's Desire, and his work has been featured on Way FM, The Fish, KCBI Christian Radio, and numerous international outlets. Bob is passionate about helping single Christians discover purpose in their season of singleness and deepen their relationship with Jesus. Now here's my conversation with Bob. Hey, Bob, welcome back to the Hopecast. It's so good to see you again.
It's great to see you as well. Long time no see. It's been too long.
I know. How long has it been? Do you remember?
Man,
when was your last book released?
Yeah, probably 2023.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really appreciated that. I loved our interview, so I'm glad we get to do this again. So you have written another book.
Keeping busy. Trying to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am especially excited to read it, Single-Minded, Finding Purpose and Strength in Your Season of Singleness. I definitely relate to that now, having been single for 7.5 years.
100%. Yeah, I am super excited about the book. It feels like an underserved group in the church today, the singles community. And for me personally, I'm in my early mid-30s, 33 as of this recording, and I'm single. Never been married, no kids. I've always wanted to be a husband. I've always wanted to be a father. And as of today, that has not been written into my story. And so despite those things being desires of mine, God is on a different timeline. He's on has a different agenda maybe than Bob Wheatley has. So it's been a challenging season at times, but it's also been a great blessing. And that is really the heart and soul, the message of this book, because it was I had a really challenging moment where one day I was reading through 1 Corinthians 7, and my paraphrase, but the Apostle Paul basically says, hey guys, if you are single, I wish you would remain single as I am. And he says, if you are single, you can be wholeheartedly devoted to the Lord versus the married man, the married woman has divided interests. Yeah. And so that really challenged me when I read that on one particular day when I was feeling my singleness. It's like, man, this is a prison sentence. This is a death wish. This is the worst thing ever. Why am I single? And then there it is in the book on my nightstand. Bob, it might actually be better if you're single. So essentially, I wanted to write a book while I was in this season where the emotions were real, the desires. It wasn't let's say I write this book.
The retrospect. Here, now that we're married, let me tell you about what you should do as a single person.
Totally. Now that I'm married, wife, kids, white picket fence, 15 years later, I have all the comforts, air quote, comforts in the world. Yeah. And here's what I wish I knew. I maybe in theory could have written that book a decade from now, but I wanted to write it when I was in the season because tomorrow is never promised. That's a biblical thing as well, where you say, if the Lord wills, this or that will happen. And I don't know if I'll ever be married. I do know that I want to be married, but I know that I'm single now. And so if my Bible says I'm actually in an advantaged season, I wanted to really take that challenge, that encouragement seriously. That's not to say that I've negated the desires. That stuff I believe is wired into me. There's such a thing as a spiritual gift of celibacy, spiritual gift of singleness. The Apostle Paul had it. Other people that I know here today have it. I don't think I do. Yeah. I get lonely. I don't think I'm wired to walk this journey alone. And yet I'm still living the singles advantage right now today. So you kind of made a joke. Hey, Bob, you're getting busy. You've written a couple books, 2 books in 2 years. I don't know if that would have been possible if I had the wife, kids, and white picket fence, because
it would have been much harder.
It'd be much harder. So I'm just uniquely positioned right now to serve him, to be wholeheartedly devoted, like Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7. And that was the challenge to myself. And that's the encouragement to the reader of this book. There are so many good things in the season of singleness that I think a lot of people gloss over because of the unmet desires. So I wanted to round out that conversation, say, hey, this can be an awesome season in so many ways.
Yeah, I agree. Can we go to that scripture where Paul says, like, I wish more of you would be single like me?
Yeah.
I know that, like, growing up, because I remember a lot of longing before I met Micah and kind of feeling a little shamed by that verse. Like, oh, it's, I shouldn't want this. I should want the singleness, And now I see that passage differently, but I'm sure you've done some deep dive on that. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think it would be a mistake to read that passage 4 years ago and then just assume, oh, I got that covered, I'm never going to go back to it, because he doesn't just talk to singles there. Yes, he does say, I wish you would remain single if you are single. But then he has a bunch of things to say to people that are single and want to be married, or to those who are married.
Yeah.
That 1 Corinthians 7 is just chock full with the rundown for everybody when it comes to relationships. So he leaves a bunch of different avenues that you can walk down and still be in obedience. And one of them is, you're single right now, but if you're burning with passion, that's the way he puts it. If you're burning with passion, by all means, get married. And so the question would be, when he says passion, is that a relational thing? I'm super lonely if I don't have it, so I'm passionate in that regard.
Yeah.
Is that a physical, sexual thing? Maybe. Is it all the above? But in one of the chapters of the book, I share a story where I was sitting down with a friend of mine, and just for protection's sake, I call him Connor in the book.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting down with Connor. He's in his early 40s or so, and he is somebody who has sworn himself to celibacy for 20 years. In like his early 20s, at 22, he said, you know what? I think this is actually a gift that God has given me. And it was just such a unique conversation that I had with him, because that is not the norm. It's really not. It's a gift. It's like somebody who can dunk a basketball. Like, just there's a small percentage of people on the planet who can do that. Yeah. And so for this guy, my friend Connor, at the age of 22, he just kind of looked in the mirror and realized, wow, I don't get lonely. And I don't have crazy sexual urges. That's just not really a thing for me.
Yeah.
And as I was having the conversation with him, he brought it to my attention, and it was a verse that I had read before, but just kind of glossed over because it wasn't super relevant to me. Even Jesus talks about people who are born with the gift of celibacy. He says that he says that there are people who are born eunuchs.
Okay.
There are people who are made eunuchs by man. And then there are those who make themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. So you see these three different.
I've never caught that before. Yeah.
It's a throwaway quote by Jesus, because most people, like you and I, would probably say that we don't have the gift of celibacy. We weren't born a eunuch. We weren't made a eunuch by man, and we haven't made ourselves eunuchs to be like priests and nuns who basically swear off all, marital relations and things like that.
Do you have a good definition for eunuch? Because that's not a word we throw around very often in current vocab.
Yeah, with the 3 different buckets that he gives, like born that way, made that way by others, or made them, like making themselves that way. The way I lay it out in the book, without being I never profess to be the theologian or the deep dive biblical scholar, but essentially a eunuch it could be either a physical reality or a bit of a decision. Somebody who is born a eunuch would be somebody either born with like a physical deformity, a malady, where they are incapable of sexual relations. That'd be like a eunuch. Someone who is made eunuchs by man, especially in that day and time. You got to put yourself in the audience that Jesus is speaking to.
Right.
In that day and time, you would have the kings who typically have a harem. They have a bunch of concubines, for their pleasure. And so the eunuchs were typically men who would be castrated, who would be, quote, made eunuchs by men, so that these guys wouldn't run off with the king's wife or daughter or be a threat to their, to their prostitutes. So yeah, but long story short, the eunuch is one who is either indifferent to or incapable of sexual intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I never aligned that passage with that perspective. That's good. I think too, I love what you said, that singles are underserved in the church. I feel like now as a widow, I see that a lot, is like everything is for the nuclear family. You have the marriage ministry, and you have the teens, and you have the babies, and you have, military, right? Like you have some outliers, but mostly it's centered around marriage. And so I love that you have a heart to serve them. What do you think the church can do better in serving its single population? Which is, I don't know if you did some research, so I don't want to conflict yours, but in the last 2020 census, they said 38% of people were neither partnered nor married. So like 40% of America is single, and that's not even including, 0 to 18, just adults.
Yeah, I think to answer your question with the most brevity, just like the cut and dry, I think the easiest way for the church to serve singles better is by a bit of a mindset shift around singleness at all. The entire thing. If there's any part of you, and I somewhat have to fight this in myself, if you see the singleness season as a lesser season, that's biblically inaccurate.
Yeah, that's good.
I go back to what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7. He actually says, guys, if you can stay single, you should. That's wild. And so as the person who's wanted to be married and wanted to be a father for my whole life, I fight that temptation a lot, where it's my life will never begin until my husband or wife shows up. My life will never begin until I'm married. And yet that is truly not a biblical statement. So I think the way that the church can best serve singles is, number one, first and foremost, to not see the singleness season as like, oh, you're almost there. hold, like hang tight. This is, I know this is a desert, but you're almost through. It's like, no, according to Paul, he wishes you would stay in this season. So that's number one. But also there is, and I don't blame the church for this at all, but there's very rarely a ministry at a church for single people. Sometimes if the church is big enough, there will be. But I think the challenge in why a church wouldn't provide something like that, two things. Number one, you got to ask yourself the question, who's going to lead it?
Right.
Who's going to take the reins and lead the singles community? You might have that person, you might not. Number two is knowing that most people don't have the gift of celibacy. Most people want to be married. Then the reality is, if you start this singles community, most of the people there are hoping to get out of it in short order. So it would just
looking at it as like a dating opportunity.
Yeah. However, like going back to the numbers that you shared as far as the census, it is a largely overlooked group, and it's a growing group. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are, I think about friends, classmates, teammates, people that I went to college with. Half of them are still not married. We're all in our mid 30s. Yeah. Versus my parents' generation, everybody at my age, married, kids. It's just things are happening later. And whether that is the enemy having his way or God having his way, it's kind of a both and thing. God is not surprised that Christians are getting married later, but that's just where things are. That's the reality of the situation today. And so if you have more and more singles, I think the church could do a better job of just recognizing that fact. Number one, it's an awesome season. It is a super advantage season where you have way more time, way more bandwidth to serve, to love on others, to learn about yourself, to seek God. And you might still be married. You might be married 5 years from now. That's all well and good. But are you crushing it in your season of singleness, like Paul and like God encourages you to do?
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the things that you encourage people to do to maximize their singleness, to really embrace that gift?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like going back to the title of the book, Single-Minded, the first thing you have to do is you have to ask yourself the question, okay, are Paul's words true? Am I going to allow myself to believe that? Because the first time that I read it, that's a pretty radical claim. If you're single, I wish you remained single. So you have to ask yourself that question. Do I actually believe that? And if it is true, if you are actually advantaged as a single person right now, that really frees you up to look at life differently and say, okay, yes, I want to be married. Yes, I want all the things that come with marriage, but I'm single right now. I have a free Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What am I going to do with that? What is God trying to do in me from a character perspective? What are the sin patterns that he's trying to awaken me to? Or what are the ways he's trying to grow my trust and my faith in him? Or what is God hoping to do through me in the future? What is God doing in me? What is God doing through me? And so the things that God is doing through you, I mean, the word also says that we have good works prepared in advance for us, where God has, in sort of the author with the pen type of way, he has written your story. He has specific good things, service projects, books to be written, podcasts to be started, ministries to be served. He has things that he wants you to do in 2028. Are you preparing for that? Are you listening in prayer? Are you reading the Bible? Are you growing closer to him? Or are you just binging Netflix, waiting for life to quote unquote begin when your spouse comes?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just marking time. Yeah. When I look back on my previous season of singleness, I had this feeling like, you know what, if somebody could just tell me how much time I have, then I could just relax into the single season, knowing like I got 18 months, I got 3 years, I got 5 years, whatever. Right. Like, but the anxiety that the desire would never be fulfilled really kept me from enjoying that, from, like it's such a difference. It's such a change when you get married and have kids, and your time is like, it just evaporates and it goes so fast. Whereas I remember I could work out to my heart's content. I could study the word. I could hang out with friends. I could volunteer, and I just didn't even have an awareness of how much that really was. And so, yeah, I can definitely sympathize or remember how hard it is to get your head in it, especially when you continually desire marriage and family.
And I definitely do not want to vilify that desire. I think that very well could be something that God has put on your heart to want to be married. Also, too, I'll say this, whether you are Connor with the gift of celibacy or somebody who wants to be married desperately, no human being is going to fill that completely, because God has hardwired us. Our software internally wants him.
Yeah.
Wants God. And right now, even on this earth, you might be a super Christian, but we still see through a glass dimly. There's a deeper revelation where it's, on the other side of death, or if Jesus comes back, there's more God to be had. We see through a glass dimly right now. And so and Paul talks about this longing, this groaning of the heart, and even creation. We're like, God, we're separated from you. We have a little bit of you. It's better than zero, but it's not what we'll have eventually. We're going to get more God when we're in heaven, when we're in the new earth. And ultimately, we will all be single. We will be eternally single. There's no marriage in heaven. Jesus talks about that as well, which was super offensive when I read that for the first time a couple years ago, because I had thought that marriage was the ultimate. As somebody who is learning how to become intimate with God and what that could look like, what that should look like, I grew up in a house where my mom and my dad have an awesome marriage. And I see two people who love each other. It's like, I want that. That is the best thing that I have seen. At least that's how I grew up. And then in reading the word, and Jesus says, no, like, we're like the angels in heaven. We're like brothers and sisters. We're just going to be chilling with God, having a great time, unmarried. That was a real challenge. But I think what you are describing, what you felt in your own marriage now with kids, is it's affirming what Paul says, where once you step out of your season of singleness, your interests are divided.
Yeah.
You have, I don't know how many kids you have a bunch of different calendars that you're juggling, and there are people with kids, family stuff, work stuff. there's a simplicity to the singles life that can be such a blessing.
Yeah.
Also, on the other side, because we have more time, like I've had plenty of Friday nights where I don't have a plan. I don't have social events or something, and it's lonely.
Yeah.
Like, shoot, you know what? If I had a wife, it'd be okay to have no plans.
Yeah.
Because we just cook in,
Yeah.
we'd watch a show, we'd play a board game, and it'd be awesome. And then my heart would be full. But I will also say this, like I talk about in the book, where all pain is painful, but not all pain is harmful. Pain hurts. That's why they call it pain. All pain is painful. But like I was an athlete my whole life. I hired a bunch of coaches. I paid them good money to hurt me on purpose.
Hurt you.
Yeah. As crazy as that sounds, like why do you hire a fitness coach? Why do you hire a nutritionist? Why do you hire any sort of coach? It is so if you want to run a marathon, but you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, it's like, the snooze button looks pretty good. There's the coach. Boom, 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 knocking on your door. Rachael, we said we wanted to run a marathon. That hurts. That is pain. But that does not mean that that pain is harmful. So I think there are some distinct pains in your season of singleness where you feel, if you're alone on a Friday night and you feel this relational gap, it's awful. I've been there a bunch. That pain can actually serve you because it awakens you to, you know what? I am a relational being. I need to be with humans. Yes, maybe a spouse will fill that need at some point, but God can fill it now. Or at the very least, I can bring that pain to God and say, Dad, I'm hurting. Versus, let's say it's sort of like the tiger or the lion in the zoo, where they're a little less tiger on account of being in captivity, and they're everything is spoon fed to them, and they never have to run fast. They never are in danger.
Yeah.
When the single person feels pain, they are fully alive. It's still painful. Don't hear me saying like, there's a purpose to this, so it no longer hurts. No, it hurts. It'd be like if Rachael, you and I were doing a plank contest and we're trying to work out our abs. I'm sure you could beat me.
Yay.
Like we're just shaking here. That would be a lot of pain on our physical bodies, but it's not harmful. We are getting stronger from it. So yeah, my book and the message in it is, guys, Mr. or Mrs. Reader, I understand your pain. Not only that, I'm going through it right now. This is not theory.
Yeah.
And God also has a purpose in it. It might be exactly where he wants us to be.
Yes. I love that. The pain with a purpose. I'm going to push pause on this great conversation. Let me give you one more word from Bob as he tells you how to get his newest book.
So the book is set to come out here as of this recording in maybe a week or so. It's August 19th on that Tuesday. If you want to pick up a copy, obviously love for you guys to do that. That'd be awesome. But I'm going to give you guys the book, you the listener, for free on the house. It's going to be the entire audiobook. And Rachael, I'll give you the link that we could throw in the show notes. But the book is structured as a 30-day challenge. So chapter 1 is sort of the intro, the why I wrote the book chapter, and then it's 30 days. And so I walk the reader through, or in this case, the listener, through 30 different areas of your life. And we're inviting Jesus into all of these different areas. If what Paul said is true, and you are actually in an advantaged season as a single person, what would life look like if you were, quote, single-minded, if you were wholeheartedly devoted to God? How would you approach your work, your friends, your family, your music and media, your sexuality, all these different areas of your life? So it's like a 30-day singles diagnostic to hopefully instill some encouragement, some life, some advantage for you. And so you, the listener, I want to give it to you for free. It's going to be the entire book, all 30 days. Obviously, it's an audio book. So the printed book has fill in the blank challenges and photos and things like that. You'll be able to download those as well. Everything's free. I want to give it to you guys. I'm hoping to encourage the singles community who, as we said, feels a little bit underserved. So books on the house. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Thank you guys so much for joining me on this week's episode. If you could rate, review, and subscribe, that helps push the message of resilience to people who need it all around the world. If you'd like to help support the message of the Hopecast, you can give at buymeacoffee.com/RachelFlick for a gift as little as $5. Friends, be sure to join me next time for part 2 of my conversation with Bob Wheatley.
You've been listening to the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. To find out more, go to RachelFlick.com. While you're there, you can book Rachael for your next speaking engagement. Her inspiring message will be sure to engage and touch the heart of your audience at your next conference, church event, or business function. Go to RachelFlick.com to book her today. While you're online, you can discover more information about all of the platforms that this podcast is on. Also, be sure to click on the social media icons at the top of the page, and you will be directed to Rachael's social media sites. If you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate if you would subscribe and leave us a review. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time for another edition of the Hopecast with Rachael Flick.